Hello, ABL and fans of the ABL. I am Alan of the Armchair Updates channel, and we are going to take a look at scoring week 8 in the ABL. The week itself, I guess it was a fun week. It's turning out to be a fun year in the ABL, even for a team like myself that is already sold and is well out of it. It's a fun year in the ABL, and part of the fun, at least for me, is kind of weeks like we just had, and teams like we have, like Cleveland and Atlanta, really coming on strong, putting wins in the column and showing up in some top five, like hitting and pitching kind of lists on the podcast kind of stuff, and making their presence felt in their divisions and throughout the rest of the league. I am enjoying them, enjoying the surge of Kansas City, Baltimore. I'm liking the Brewers still being a top five hitting team after week 8, as we will see. I'm liking all this stuff. Lots of good little chunks and tidbits for the ABL this year. Let's jump right into the records. The aforementioned Braves, the Trax puts it number one. I guess they were the highest scoring team. No, they weren't. Highest scoring team that went 3-0. So the Braves, the Cardinals, the A's, the Clevelands, the Chicago Cubs, and the Mariners all go 3-0. The Twins, the Pirates, and the Yankees go 2-0. The Giants and the Dodgers go 3-1, so each fails to gain a game of separation at all on the other. The D-backs go 2-1. The Phillies go 2-1. The Rangers and the Rays also go 2-1. The Padres were your lone 500 team at 1-1, and another interesting week for the Padres, as we will see after this. The Royals, the Orioles, the Reds, and the Rockies go 1-2. So I stole the win. I gotta say, I think maybe I dumped the wrong way, because I dumped, and then I think this last week, week 8, I'm pretty sure I had my highest scoring week of the year. If not, it's got to be damn close to it. So I dumped all my good players and then proceeded to have, for me, what was a good week. Now, that said, I still got absolutely stomped in 2 of my 3 matchups. It wasn't just 1 and 2. It was 1 and 2, and I really got whooped by the Cardinals and Dodgers. I did beat the Angels, but for me, about 250 points. I think it was 242 or 3. That's pretty good for my team this year. I think it just had a mostly healthy week, but that's what happens after I dump. I scored more points than the first 3 weeks of the season combined. The Tigers, tough 0-3 for the Tigers. The Brewers, the Jays, tough 0-3 for the Jays. The Red Sox, the Mets, the Nats, the Angels, and the White Sox all go 0-3. The Marlins and the Astros go 0-2. See, the Marlins and the White Sox are more like what you would expect dumping teams to look like. Those guys dumped, and they both were in the low 100s. I dumped and ended up somehow being in the 250 range. I don't. It's going the. I don't know if that gives me hope for the future, or that I maybe screwed my dump up. I don't really know. Yeah, the Jays, that's got to be a tough 0-3. Always a tough 0-3 for an NL Central team. The Brewers still going to be hanging in there. We will see as a top 5 hitting team overall in the league, but the pitching just not pulling its weight for the Brewers. The Jays, I think I'm just going to go ahead and assume that the Jays have made a couple more moves since the last pod that I will see, or that I will discuss, but must not have helped them in week 8 as they take a tough 0-3. Probably a tough 0-2 for the Astros. It usually seems to be for Ray when he has a tough week like that. Yeah, that's about it. Let's go to this stuff. Your slim margins, your smallest margins. We had a under 1 point victory, San Diego over KC. So when you see the KC went 1-2, one of those losses was by 0.833 points. And then San Diego shows up again at number 2, losing to Arizona by 6.5 points. if I go back and look, and I'll probably tally them up maybe at 10, an arbitrary number. San Diego has shown up quite often on one side or the other of the smallest margin list. And this week we have 3 teams all showing up 2 different times. So number 3 is Seattle over Texas by 7 points. Number 4 is Texas over Toronto by 10.833 points. So of that 0-3 week for the Jays, one was by about 11 points. And then number 4 is Seattle over Milwaukee by 12.33. So Seth pulls down 2 of his 3 wins on the week by a combined 19.33 points. You got to win the close ones, and that's what Seattle did this week. Your points per game for week 8, Oakland clocking in at number 1, 4.74 points per game in 75 games. Atlanta, number 2, 4.5 points per game in 87 games. See 3 teams in the mid to high 80s here. Minnesota, 4.47 points per game in 88 games. San Francisco shows up here again, 4.41 in 77. And St. Louis rounding out the top 5, 4.25 points per game in 85 games. You're hitting in week 8, St. Louis, 231 points. Minnesota, number 2, 225. San Francisco, number 3 at 211. Milwaukee, there they are, 203, a top hitting team on the week and on the year. And number 5, Atlanta, 201. I think this is the second straight week that we saw the top 5 hitting teams all be over 200 points. So weather's heating up, the ball is starting to fly out a little bit more, the hitting is picking up league-wide, it seems like, in both real life and in the ABL, as we see the second week in a row. Barely, number 5 got in at 201, but still it's over 200. Top 5 teams all over 200 hitting points. Your top pitching team for week 8 was Cleveland at 205.667, and as we will see, Mark just made a deal to bring in another big-time pitcher, so taking perceived strength and running with it there. Atlanta, number 2 at 190.5 pitching points. Oakland, number 3, 180.833. Minnesota, number 4, 168.667. And Baltimore, rounding out the top 5 at 165.333 pitching points for week 8. Your points per game on the year, Minnesota in the top spot, 4.19. St. Louis, number 2, 4.12. And Texas at 4.10. Then we drop down a little bit to Pittsburgh at 4.02. And Oakland rounding out the top 5 at 3.99. And I believe right under that is maybe San Francisco and then Kansas City. I could be wrong. I don't really recall. I could look real quick, but I'm not going to. Hitting on the year, Minnesota 1604 is your number 1 hitting team. St. Louis, number 2, 1590. The Dodgers at number 3, 1542. Chicago, number 4, 1513. And Milwaukee at number 5 at 1458. So a little bit of a gap there between 4 and 5. And quite a bit of a gap between, say, 1 and 4. Almost 100 points does Minnesota have over the Cubs. Pitching on the year, Pittsburgh, number 1 at 1374.5. Oakland, number 2, 1358.167. St. Louis, number 3 at 1339.5. Minnesota, number 4 at 1299.5. And the Royals at number 5 have knocked the White Sox out of the top 5 at 1237.833. We knew that the White Sox wouldn't last after some of the trades that he made, but it is the Royals that knock the division rival out of the top 5 pitching teams and take a place in the top 5. See, Braves and Cleveland making moves. Both, I think, Cleveland made some deals. They're both making moves in the standings. San Diego, 2 more appearances on the slim margins. Of course, going to tally those up before long, and I can guarantee that San Diego will be one of the teams that have shown up more often than not. We have more trade action to look at. Power rankings we will look at, yes. Tony getting into his new house. Does it mean the return of old Tony? He seems to be on the Discord a little more. He's making a lot of deals lately. Tony getting new digs means we get old Tony back. So the new Tony is the old Tony. So, is that irony? I don't know if that's irony, but the new Tony returns to the old Tony, which was the younger Tony, technically. The Royals dump Cole. I have word from a good source that the rest of the team is to follow. So Kansas City, I think, is going to call it a year. I think the dump of Cole pretty much proves that the Royals are throwing in the towel. June 7th. When that happened? June 6th, maybe? Yep, Royals done. Just slipped into the top 5 of pitching. Immediately dumped Garrett Cole. Doesn't like seeing his name in the top 5 of things. So that's understandable. I don't have that pressure myself in this league, but I get this probably a lot. And Joe Madden fired. Joe Girardi fired. Dodger Joe next? We hope not. I made a joke that maybe the Angels' Cal was next, but he seems pretty secure in his job. They just brought him in, probably feeling good about him. They knew it wasn't going to be a good year, to begin with. And he's not like he did the real-life Angels where they won a bunch in a row and then started losing. But it seems like guys named Joe, a little bit on the hot seat. Go poking around the ABL Dodgers, the Cincinnati area in real life, the Kentucky part of Cincinnati. Maybe kick around there, see if anybody has word that Dodger Joe is on the hot seat. Maybe packing bags, getting ready to head for greener pastures, something like that. I don't know. Just seems like managers named Joe having a tough go of it lately. Dodgers are playing great though. We see still hitting the shit out of the ball without Tatis. Probably somewhere in the top 10 here if I made this a top 10, if I made the point per game a top 10. Dodgers are probably in here somewhere. I'd have to assume. So Dodger Joe probably not getting fired. Never know. Could be, they come in threes. Joe's getting fired, come in threes. I don't know any other managers named Joe. So I'd be looking out. I'd be looking behind you, Dodger Joe. What else did I want to do? Power rankings. So some changes. Pittsburgh takes the number 1 spot, knocking the Twins off, actually. St. Louis stays where they are. Dodgers jump up 1. A's move down 1. Rangers move down 2, still in the top 10. Mariners move up 1 to get into the top 10. That will make Seth very happy. The Cubs down 3, firmly in the yellow now. The Braves up 5, out of the red and into the middle of the yellow. Very nice. The Phillies down 3, borderline red are the Phillies. They are right there between the yellow and the red. If this was the early 2000s and we were doing terror alerts, the Phillies would be a desperate, high terror. They would pretty much throw that up before every fucking Super Bowl, every big sporting event, every big everything that was going to happen to be on TV. High terror alert. Nothing ever happened. But Phillies are very close to being a high terror alert team. And the Rays, welcome to the high terror alert area. And the Rockies, I dropped down 1. I had one of the best weeks I've had, and I had moved down 1. I took a win, and I got stomped by 2 good teams, but I moved down 1 as the Marlins move up 1, the Angels move down 1, and the Mets move up 1, and the Nats sitting at number 30. Oi, the Nats. Those of us in the red, we're kind of – I don't know, man. I would love to get out of the red. I don't think I probably see it this year as I'm moving backwards, and I fully intended to kind of move backwards. The Astros moved down 3 as well. The Pods moved up 1. But we got a couple of guys that are – I don't know who's going to supplant. I could see if the Rays have a really good week and the Phillies have a bad week, I could see those guys switching places, maybe the Rays and the Jays. If the Brewers have a really good week and jump up a few spots, I could see the Brewers getting out of the red and maybe the Jays or the Phillies, or if the Padres or even the Astros have another really bad week, coming into the red with us being, the Red Sox and the Reds and the Mets and the Angels, those of us that hang out near the bottom, but still, we're somebody's got to be the bedrock. We're the bedrock that the rest of we're the shoulders, stand on the shoulders of giants. We're the giants that you guys stand on. It's just interchangeable near the top of the red, bottom of the yellow. There seems to be some shuffling happening there. Love to see the Braves jumping up to 16, moving up 5 spots. Shit, man, you move up 5 spots next week, you're knocking on the door of the top 10. So, yeah, really cool to see the Braves kind of going for it, making moves. We want to look at some trades. Look at some trades. Oh, damn it. Pending transactions. Not what I wanted. I don't recall 100% where I left off last week. Definitely didn't talk about Boba. Didn't talk about Crony getting moved again. Frank just bugging me for Cronenworth. And ends up getting him from Gary, moves him. Geez, man, there was a lot. Let's see. Where the hell did I think I touched on the did I? Tigers and Twins? I don't think I did. Yeah, well, okay, Walker Buehler. Yeah, touched on Walker Buehler. Jalen Beeks, Bruce Zimmerman. Yeah, he got hurt. 29th, Landon Knack, Jimmy Wood, Matty Carp. Yeah, I touched on that. All right, so maybe it was Monday the 30th. I would have been like the last one. So a lot of Marlins action. Like I said, we got old Tony back, Bobby Bradley, Evan Longoria to the Mariners for $1 fab. Seth taking on a pretty rough Bobby Bradley contract. I believe he signed till 26. He's $3 now, so $5 next year. He's up into the low double digits by the time that contract is up, and he is in the minors now. He's kind of sucking in the minors. So Seth takes on Bobby Bradley to get Evan Longoria and sends $1 fab to Tony. Tony sends Patrick Corbin to the Braves for a 5th rounder, Matt Beatty, who can play left, right, and first, and Jimmy Herget, who's a sparp. Tony, just part of his complete retool, and Jake is hoping that Patrick Corbin still has some kind of gas left in the tank. The Rangers and the Mariners make a pretty interesting deal. The Rangers send Anthony Rizzo and Noah Syndergaard to the Mariners for Zach Wheeler and Whit Merrifield. Rizzo is extendable. I believe he's in year 1. Yeah, he's a first, $19, so he is extendable. Syndergaard is, I believe, signed. No, he's a first. He's $24. He is his first. So both these guys potentially extendable for Seth. Gives up Whit Merrifield, who's kind of starting to hit now on a 23 contract, so it'll be $34 next year. And Zach Wheeler on a 26 contract, he's at $28. So it's actually a pretty good price for what has been an ace pitcher. I understand the logic from Seth's side, but on a player side, I like the Rangers side of this deal. Just me personally, I like getting Zach Wheeler and Whit Merrifield. Whit can play second, center, and right. Wheeler obviously is an ace caliber pitcher at $28. Apparently now he's on paternity leave. But I like Seth getting Rizzo's solid producer. Syndergaard, we've seen what he can be. He's been kind of rough recently. I know this because I have him in a roto league. In another league, he's been kind of a dingus. Yeah, I had the negative here, had a good start here, and an okay start here. But yeah, the two negatives are mostly what I was focusing on, and where he just he destroyed me in a couple roto leagues. The Nats send a round 3, 23. Originally the Dodgers, a $3 stab to the Tigers for Colin. You say that Posh. He's a holds guy for the Rays. I picked him up in Flug or DZFC, hoping to. He's got a decent ratio. He's not a huge K guy, but definitely in a holds conversation. So holds are points in this league. The Rangers do another big deal. Send Frenchie, CJ Cron, and Kike Hernandez to the Giants for Logan Webb and Andres Jimenez, who kind of comes out of nowhere with 7 homers. He was looked at as more of, I think, a steals guy, but kind of suddenly has 7 homers. Let's see, he's got 7 homers, he's got 4 steals. He's hitting .305. I picked him up as a middle infielder in one league, mostly for the steals and for, at the time, a really high. He was in like the 330s at the time. And he's kind of hit a bunch of homers since then. He's got nearly 30 ribbies. Got 7 homers, got 4 steals. Pretty good little player, averaging 3.1 points per game. Logan Webb, not quite as good as he was last year, but still pretty good. As Sam likes to say, Zach Eflin would be the third backup on the Rangers. He's full of pitching now, especially with this Webb acquisition. And as we see next, he also goes ahead. Let's just jump to that. We don't need to. The Giants turn around and deal Franchi not all that much long, about an hour later, deal the newly acquired Franchi for Jake Junis. I like Jake Junis. He's actually been pretty good since getting to the Giants. And the points, man, had a 25-point game here, getting the quality and the win. Had a 20-point game here, getting the quality and the win. Those seem to be the exception rather than the norm for him, but showing that he can do it. And he's a sparp. I like the sparps. The Cubs send Justin Verlander to the Rangers for Christian Javier and Tyrone Taylor. Tyrone Taylor been playing quite a bit lately. Plays all three outfield spots. Javier Esparp, who had put up some decent points recently. Yeah, well, the last two were mad, 2.3 and 7, but before that, 22 and 22. Had a little bit of a negative, 13 and a half, 16. So Javier, he's only signed through this year. You don't 100% know what you're getting. Well, you know you're just getting him through this year, but Verlander also only signed through this year. I guess Sam wanted the stability and the reliability of the Rock, the Hall of Famer, over the big time K upside. Javier will have some of those games where he only goes 4 innings because he struck out 8 or 9 guys. And Frank gets some more outfield flexibility, positional flexibility with Tyrone Taylor coming over. Let's see, I need to still jump a page. Yeah, God, a lot of trade action lately. The Cubs then are able to deal David Peralta because of that newfound positional flexibility with Tyrone Taylor to the Mariners for $5 fab and Steven Wilson, a Sparp from San Diego. He also deals Jake McCarthy, who he got earlier from me, to the Nats for $2 fab, and Willie Castro, a super utility type, second base, shortstop, left, and center eligible. And then Frank says, fuck it, I don't need any outfielders. He also trades Tyrone Taylor, the very recently acquired Tyrone Taylor, and the recently acquired Trevor Story for the long-coveted Jake Cronenworth, who is eligible at first, second, short, and Juan Soto. So you don't need Tyrone Taylor. You don't need David Peralta when you're going to go ahead and grab Juan Soto from the Jays. So the Jays and the Cubs making another one, and that one a pretty splashy deal when Trevor Story and Juan Soto both trade teams there. The Reds in Minnesota make kind of a minor deal, around 5 2023 pick from the Reds going to the Twins for Anibal Sanchez, who is now hurt. He's on the 60-day IL. So a cervical nerve impingement. Ouch. Sucks for Lenny. The Twins also trade Brad Keller to the Braves for a 2023 round 3 and a pretty nice prospect in Joey Estes, Oakland prospect, a Sparpy kind of guy. The Giants trade Abraham Toro, second and third eligible, and Taylor Rogers, the closer for the San Diegos, to the Cubs for Pavin Smith, the must not have been that coveted Jake Cronenworth, and Sam Mole. So the Cubs sit on these guys for all of 5 minutes and then trade them away, and yet continue to go 3-0 every week. Man, Frank knows what he's doing. He kind of looks like a man without a plan, but these pieces do come together somehow because they result in wins for the Cubs. The Dodgers send Aaron Sanchez, the Sparp for Minnesota. Now, is that former Blue Jay Aaron Sanchez? Is that who that is? Yeah, it is. It is him. And $1 fab to the Padres for Colin Snyder, a Sparp on Kansas City. The Mets trade Luis Castillo and Joey Votto to the Cubs for the Bo Bichette contract. So a rough contract, to be sure, as Jeff had said on the Discord. Didn't think that contract was movable at all. It's $49, and he signed through next year, so it'll be $51 next year. That's dollars, not years old. But for Joey Votto and a much more manageable Luis Castillo, he's only signed through this year. He's $44. So another – he deals Verlander. Man, it's hard to keep track of who is on the Cubs and who is not on the Cubs. The Cardinals and the White Sox make a pretty, at least player-wise, the amount of player sizable deal. Jonathan Scope, Corbin Burns, heard of him. And then some minor leaguers, Austin Cox, Alex DeJesus, Justin Lang, Tommy Mace, Donovan Solano, and a round one end that with Tommy Mace there, going to the Cardinals for Donovan Solano, a round 1 pick, 2023, which was the Cardinals originally, so probably a pretty late one. Juan Lagares, who plays all 3 outfield spots. Luis Matos, pretty high-end Giants prospect, outfield prospect. Matt Foster, a Holds guy for the White Sox. And Ryan Nelson, an Arizona pitching prospect, going back to the White Sox. So the Cardinals pick up Burnsy, who, let's see, what is he? Signed through 26. He's at 34 now. So a hefty contract, but one that you can be confident in what he's going to give you when healthy. There's no reason to think he's not going to be healthy. But pretty splashy move made by the Cardinals to acquire Corbin Burnes. Blake Snell. Let's see how does this go? Blake Snell from Cleveland to Cincinnati for 2 first-rounders, one in 2025, one in 2023. The White Sox 2023. So with the dump, hoping that's going to be a lottery first-rounder for Cleveland. The Mets send. So yeah, this is me and the Mets. I send Joey Gallo and Dan Vogelbach. So the Mets taking on another questionable contract. Joey Gallo only signed through next year. No, he signed through 24. Yeah, signed through 24. He's at 22 now, so it'll be 24 and then $26 through 24. He has not been very good. I was waiting for him to be good. He has not been good. And Daniel Vogelbach, who is extendable. He's on a first. He's only $4, and he's averaging 2.6 points per game. So that's probably, I had to kind of give Vogie to get the Mets to take Gallo. But in return, the Rockies get Matt Liberatore, the Mets' second round in 2023, and Jake Woodford, who immediately got sent back down to AAA when I got him. But a spark kind of guy who I hope will find himself back on the team. I've got Palante, I've got Woodford, I've now got Liberatore. So I'm kind of honing in on some Cardinal pitching. Nice to see the Mets making a couple of deals, kind of coming out of obscurity and making a couple of deals. The White Sox making another one here, part of the dump, trading a 2023 third-rounder and Ryan Presley for a 2023 first-rounder with Cleveland. That was the Twins' first-rounder, so going to be a pretty late first-rounder. The White Sox making another one, trading Andrew Kittredge, a spark, hopefully a save hold guy on Tampa Bay as long as he's healthy, to my Rockies for a 2023 round 2 that I got from the Mets. And Hudson Haskin, the Baltimore outfield prospect, plays all 3 spots. The Tigers trade Ryan Feltner in when Seth came pleading, does anybody have a starting pitcher to trade me? Please, I need points for my matchup this week. He traded Clark Schmidt, who is the better pitcher in this deal, but he needed the points that day for Ryan Feltner, who got rocked that day, had negative points, and then got sent down afterwards. So ouch for Seth. The Marlins trade minor leaguer Hunter Bishop for a 2025 round 3 to the Blue Jays. I would have rather had Hunter Bishop in that deal. The Cubs trade Brian Shaw and Ben Rortvelt, big tough Ben Rortvelt, and Mike Clevenger to the Reds for Josh Stolmont, a holds guy, potential saves guy, I guess. And Jorge Soler, left field, right field eligible Jorge Soler, who is a 2024 contract signed at $15 and playing at 3.4 points per game. So nice little piece there. I think the hope is that Clevenger, proves to be the valuable piece of that at $18 signed through 2024. So manageable money, especially if he comes back to the form that he had shown with Cleveland. More of maybe a 14, 15 point per game pitcher than a 10, 11. Cleveland makes another big deal, sending Javier Baez, who I just don't like at all. A 2023 round 1 from the Reds, a 2023 round 1 from his own team, Cleveland, and Pedro Leon for Nico Horner and Garrett Cole. So a big go for it now move for Cleveland, picking up Garrett Cole, who, as we know, is extendable, but is a $54 player, probably not likely to be extended, probably to be in the auction again next year, but definitely a go-for-it-now move for Cleveland. Nico is signed through 26 and is at $8. Maybe he proves to be valuable for the entirety of that contract. I don't know. He's a pretty light-hitting guy, but he's shown more with the bat since coming back from an injury or a little bit ago. He is second and short eligible. I think I don't know. I don't know what I think about Nico. I kind of like him, kind of don't. I don't like anybody signed through 26. It'd be hard to get me to take anybody signed through 26. So that's just like a personal preference thing. But it's not like that contract's not going to be an albatross or anything around Mark's neck. So he gave up what he had to get the best pitcher not named DeGrom, in the game right now. So I like the deal for both sides, really. Well, I don't know. I don't like Javi. I don't like Javi. I saw him as like the second coming of Fonzie Soriano in Chicago. I just do not like him. Just don't like him. Uh, and then Cleveland makes another big one since Sergio Romo, Warming Bernabel, Eddie Rosario, Alcides Escobar, the Blue Jays first rounder in 2023, Danny Duffy and Vladimir Gutierrez. A lot of injured guys there, a lot of red flags. To the St. Louis Cardinals for 2024 round 3 and Kedel Marte. So Cleveland Mark made a couple giant playing for this year moves very recently. This one was just the 7th. This was just yesterday where he got Kettle. So had a big week, goes 3-0, shows up in a couple of nice spots, on the bits and pieces that we do, and responds by making a couple huge moves. Those are huge. Kettle Marte, say what you will about how he started off this year. The guy is I think he's a stud. I think he's a stud. What is he putting up right now? He's at 2.94 points per game. So he's nearly that 3-point per game mark. He is a pure rental. He's $28. But when you're looking to go for it like Mark is, a pure rental is okay. Cole is a rental. Marte is a rental. But Mark's going for it. And those two deals that he just made are really, really going to help him go for it. So, yeah, I like quite a bit what Mark did here recently with these couple of big moves that he made. Actually, the Garrett Cole was yesterday as well. He made both of those deals yesterday. So just a little bit apart. 12:53 p.m., 1:17 p.m. Mark, at a time it seems like he should have been working, Mark. Maybe perhaps you were on lunch, but Mark was very busy in the fantasy realm making some huge ABL deals. So yeah, that's your week 8. Another big swathe of trades to go through. Some huge names moving around. Some teams kind of poking their heads that maybe we aren't quite used to seeing in the early playoff races. I'm quite enjoying it. I'm one of the loser teams, but I'm enjoying this year in the ABL, and hopefully you enjoyed the Week 8 podcast. Next week, so I leave for Denver on Monday. I'm hanging out with my brother and my cousin for the better part of the week. From Monday, I'll get back Friday, and then I turn around and head back to Denver to pick up my new client. So I don't know what the pod is going to look like next week. I hope to not miss it, but if I do, that's why. So hopefully I don't, but yeah. So hopefully I see you soon. Thanks for watching. That was week 8.